you have autoimmune disorders, one or more. Anyone can relate to that. Let me see yes, if that's your story, because I hear that all the time. Let me see if I can actually see yes. I can see yeses. Wonderful, thank you. Well, you also may have been told that it's in your head, you need antidepressants. You also may have been told by the doctor that your labs are irrelevant, you've had EBV, and it has no bearings on your health right now. And you also have been told that you just have to go home and sleep and rest, nothing you can do. And so your belief system is you can't get over it. You tried everything maybe, and supplements, diets, and it hasn't worked. You've read everything, you've had it too long. Any of that story is defining how you're looking at that virus. There's a lot of fear and there's a lot of confusion, and people really try. And so if you are part of that story, that's a cumulative story, big story of thousands and thousands of people that I see, unfortunately. I see that community. So I want to rework it, because the truth is that the healing is completely possible. You can recover, you can get better, you can get life back. And how do I know that you can actually heal? Because when I was a clinician, I was noticing that some people, I was as good as I could, but some people that were suffering were not improving no matter what I did. I was just not finding something, and it was not acceptable. So a couple of my clients asked me to read Medical Medium, and I had to grab the book on the plane because I was so busy. When a couple of them told me to read something and evaluate it, I had to. So with an open mind, I read it, and I had so many connections, I couldn't stop reading the book, because even if half of it was true, I had to go back to my clinic, look at my clients, and start to look at this. And nobody had ever told me about this darn virus. How is that possible? So long story short is, once I looked at the situation, I saw that the medical community is completely not up to speed with research. And then the medical medium is on the opposite spectrum. So there's this big disconnect, because a wonderful thing is that now EBV issue is out in the open. So you may have been one of those people going to the doctor saying, I read the book, I think medical medium is right, I think I have EBV. Let's go to my doctor and ask for testing. What does your doctor do? Your doctor gets irritated and says, there's no evidence, because they don't think there is. You've had it in the past. It's waste of your money. Everybody has the virus, which is true, almost. I'm not going to test it. Or if they test it, they say, well, you've had it, but it's irrelevant. Anybody has that story? Has it happened to you? So I was really starting to see this big divide. And I said, wait a second, if I can look at medical literature and really actually look at what's happening with the virus, and then look at what medical medium claim, because so many people like this book and resonate with it. If I can pull some of the claims, go and just spend the time and research it and see what I can verify, then I can bridge that gap. And I think my book and my research, all that work has bridged that gap. So everybody can actually look at what we know about the virus, regardless, what your belief system is. And so that got me started. And during the PhD program, I actually focused on it extensively, doing that literature review. And then I was very lucky to work with Dr. Vasquez, who taught me virology. And so when I had all that, the literature, Dr. Vasquez, all this confirmation, and then I started to look at my clients, and we started to ask for testing, and we started to apply. I started to hone in on protocols, and I started to have results. I was sitting on something really, really important. And so I started to see people heal. This was the big deal, actually. And this is how I felt. Do we have any clinicians? Any clinicians? Clinicians in here? Say yes. Dietitians, nutritionists, acupuncturists, doctors, NDs. We don't have anyone today. Well, if you are a clinician like me and you're hitting the wall and you figure something out, this is how you feel. And especially if you can change the world by training other clinicians. This is how I feel right after our first launch in 2017, first webinar for clinicians when we were launching the clinician program. That's how I felt. And it feels good. We have 40 clinicians on the waiting list for the next clinician program when we launch it again. So obviously it took me a couple of years and a lot of studying and a lot of reading and a lot of work, but I could not stop because I knew I could help people. So that's the professional level. That's where I come from. When you get stuck and you can't help people and you look at them in the eyes, I know there's something I don't know. So I knew that. But there is a personal story to it because I actually lost a friend to complications of MS. And it was heartbreaking because on my journey as an immigrant here in the States, as I was building my life, she was fighting for her life back in Poland. And after almost 20 years, we lost her. She has a young son who survives her. He was almost like her nurse. And it's devastating. And it didn't have to happen. What we don't know, it was EBV. We never will. But I suspect it was, because if you look at research, some researchers say it's a prerequisite and a requirement almost as an initiator. And so that drives me. She drives me because every person I look in the eye is my friend, that I can help, and I could not help her. I didn't have the information. We were trying all these years, and it did not happen for her, but it can happen for you. I don't think anybody should and has to die because of this virus. And I want to really validate that it's not in your head. It's a terrible, aggressive virus. We have 3 million recorded cases of mono every year. How many are unrecorded? Many of these people with mono recover and go and live their lives. But if your immune system is weaker, if there's other components in your body, in your life, that are like a perfect terrain for the virus, your mono may never go away. You may develop chronic fatigue. Some people may develop autoimmune disorders. There's a laundry list. If you want to go to ebvhealth.com and click on conditions, I list lots of conditions, lots of autoimmune conditions. Like last year, there was a study on actually celiac. We have proved that celiac can be caused by EBV. Who knew? And then there's cancer. It's autoimmunity, it's cancer. In 2010, we have the only one on statistic on 143,000 people died in that year because of cancer caused by EBV. So it's epidemic. And how do we know it's epidemic? Because the research community is actually looking for global vaccination for the virus. That's how bad it is. So never, never, never let anybody take that away from you. It is a big issue. But we have the solution, and it does work. That's the best part of the journey. Example, within 3 weeks of following the protocols and suggestions, I felt the best I had in 6 years. Laura, after a year of going from doctor to doctor, which is quite often, as a result, I'm now back at work part-time, and I'm looking into becoming a health coach. What you don't know about Laura was that she came to me after a stroke with migraines, fibromyalgia, chronic constipation, extreme fatigue, Sjogren's. We tested for SIBO. She had it. We tested for Hashimoto. She had it. We tested for EBV. She had it. She had only a few things she was able to eat. She had to stop her work. And so she was completely not functional. And then after a few months, she went back to that job. And now she's going to coach for functional doctors. That's how we pay forward. That's where magic happens. It can happen to you. And I told you I have the Educational Institute for EBV where I certify clinicians. Laura is one of my favorites. So she's been working with this probably for 2 years almost. I get wonderful results with my patients. We do these protocols and they help tremendously. They get my patients not only their energy, but their lives back. And that's the story. That's what we are about. My clients are getting their lives back. Laura's patients are getting their lives back. Why cannot you get your life back? I know it's hard. I know you're depressed, isolated. I've seen that. It's depressing. You are anxious. You have a lot of fears around it. There's no hope, basically. But look at these ladies. Look how bubbly they are. Look how happy they are. This is what I want you to think about. This is this possibility that this could be you again. You could have your life. You could jog with your friends. You could go out with a girlfriend. You could play with your kids, you know, with your dog outside again. You can have that, hold that image throughout this presentation, because it is possible. All right, so my promise today is, now that you know who I am and why I think what I think, and you know, validation of EBV for you, that is serious. I promised I will share you the 3 secrets to your healing from EBV. So let's get to it. Relax and take a deep breath. First thing, you can't heal what you don't know. And it goes for the community of people with EBV and their doctors, unfortunately. So we have wrong information. So what doctors do not know hurts everyone, and it's not their fault. They just don't know. The research is astounding. It's huge, but they're either not aware of how epidemic your EBV is, it's not even on the radar, or they don't understand how to treat it effectively. And even the great functional integrative doctors that I talk to, they notoriously complain they get partial results. They try this, they don't have a system. They don't have the information, and the way it's working right now, you're just not gonna move forward. You can't heal in that scenario. It's not enough. But doctors are doing it, and thanks God for Dr. Flavin, who actually published. This was an acute case of enlarged spleen in 50 persons. And so she had imagery before and after. It took her 24 to 48 hours for successful remission of the disease and complete reversal of the enlarged spleens. And how did she do it? She followed the research just like me. It's 2006 and nobody knows about this study. I actually tracked her down. She's a wonderful person. I want to bring her to the States. She's in Germany. And I need people to hear about her, because we need doctors that pave the way, and actually we need more publishing. But it's true. So EBV is not what you think or what you've been told or what you've believed. It's logical, it's predictable. That's what I see. I see it's predictable. Once you know what it is, it's not that hard. And I'm going to prove it to you. Okay, I'm going to tell you a longer story. Kate's story is just like your story. There's 4 slides. I'm going to read them out. You can close your eyes, put your feet up, and just imagine that this is you, because part of her story will probably be you. So let me just go ahead and read the whole thing. I think it's important. In the spring of 2017, each day was a struggle. I was exhausted, depressed, completely unmotivated. As an achievement-oriented individual, this was completely demoralizing, and I was unsure what to do to get motivated and return to myself. I didn't want to work or be social with my friends or family. I only wanted to curl up in bed and sleep. I honestly thought my body at 47 had turned in its pink slip, and I was ready to shut down. How scary is that, to think that you're dying before you even hit 50? Absolutely terrifying. Well, she didn't tell me that she felt that bad at the time. Kate was very lucky, because she had known me before, we had worked before, and when she went to her doctor was extremely smart. He tested her for Hashimoto and for EBV immediately, and she was positive for both. So we jumped in and started to work immediately. But imagine, like, maybe in your case, you don't have the right doctor. You knock from door to door for 2 years trying to find a doctor who will actually test, right? So she was really lucky. Well, we started to work together. Everything felt too hard. We kept at it though, and Kasia provided me with her doctoral thesis on EBV. It was like a light came on in my mind. I realized that my diagnosis for juvenile rheumatoid arthritis when I was 14 was actually a chronic and long-term bout of mono. Suddenly everything made sense. The depression, the fatigue I had been plagued on and off throughout my life could be explained. I wasn't dying, I wasn't crazy, I was sick. And my constant pursuit of perfectionness was working against me. When I was in college and going through finals, but only wanted to sleep, the EBV had reared its ugly head. Anytime I was going through a stressful situation at work, I would end up exhausted, depressed, and at least 10 pounds heavier than when the situation started. So think about all these aspects of your life. Can anybody actually relate to that? Let's see the chats here. These are such common stories I hear. And now if you don't know if it's EBV, you really don't know. You can't connect all these dots. Let me just see if everybody can still hear me. Yes? Okay, yes, thank you. You're quiet. Awesome, thank you. So what happened to Kate? My energy came back. My depression lifted. Not only did this regimen get the EBV under control, it also put the Hashimoto's into remission. So her Hashimoto's, her thyroid autoimmune condition, was driven by the virus that was sitting in there. I didn't know such a miracle was even possible. This learning experience was freeing. Now that I can put a name to the demon that plagues me, I can see it coming and treat myself. Maintaining this regimen could mean never reactivating the EBV, such hope. And if it should reactivate, I have a full and effective toolkit to allow my body to heal itself. What an empowering gift. This is an empowering gift. The knowledge is power. And, you know, that was 2 years ago. And Kate still checks in with me once in a while, shoots me an email or a card, says, I'm doing great, I'm doing great, I'm doing great. She knows what to do. And that's what I teach. And that's what I want to teach. So isn't Kate just like you? Aren't you going to? Yes. Diana, I can relate to some of it. Yes, you will. No matter how old you are, no matter how long you've had it, no matter what you believe about EBV, you can be just like Kate. So we just talked about the first secret that people really don't understand. So they cannot heal if they don't know what it is. Now I told you you can. So number two, the secret number two is, how do you heal? What do you need to understand now? So the grand plan that actually is smarter than EBV is what we need. So once I got to know the virus really close up, I understood how smart it was. Really smart, really smart. But I figured out how to be smarter. It's not rocket science. You just have to work with this deep and long enough to connect the dots. And that's what I did. So you do deserve a real solution. You do deserve a life. And so it took me a couple of years, but I'm here. The grand plan. I also have a backup plan because there are complexities. You know, the EBV is pretty straightforward, but sometimes there's other co-infections and stuff, and it clouds the body's ability to heal from EBV itself. So you have to consider those if it's more complicated. So my approach is that the recovery is possible, but you have to bridge all the areas and look for clues if it's resistant. So, you know, otherwise it's not EBV, but in most cases it's just, you know, different avenues. And the good thing is that I came into the clinical nutrition with the expertise or experience in the gut issues. And so it's very handy in EBV because sometimes the gut issues, co-infections are part of the makeup. And so, you know, if you look at your trajectory, I see people depressed over years and going from doctor to doctor over years and spending thousands of dollars doing all kinds of labs, expensive labs, sometimes $5,000, $10,000 for labs. But then at the end of the day, partial results, hit and miss, misdiagnosis, just looking at partial picture. But EBV is such a big umbrella. It's like the big elephant in the room that nobody's seeing. So this is why we're doing this. So if you look at the plan, the SMART plan that is smarter than EBV, I came up with five steps. All this, everything I teach is evidence-based. And then I tested it through years in clinical practice with my patients. So here we go. You ready? First of all, you have to eat the right foods, herbs, and culinary spices. So I love to go for things that people are already familiar with. There's millions of things that are antiviral and you don't even know it. And a lot of these you have in the kitchen. So it's just being very strategic about it. And that's what we bring. They actually stole the virus. So let me tell you, how many people are already gluten-free or reducing wheat? Anyone? A lot of people right now actually are very yes, yep, already reducing wheat. And I credit medical medium Anthony William for it. And it's very important because it's so inflammatory. It's like a UFO for the body, the modern wheat. Very good, excellent. So you see, you already are ahead of the game. How many people already are familiar with dairy and cutting down on dairy? These are the big ones. Yes, yes, a big yes. Good. So here's the good news. If you look at the research and the foods that modulate EBV, you don't have to be highly restrictive. Dairy and wheat are big ones, absolutely. But you just have to be smart. And I'm going to show you how smart, what it means. Now, I do have a warning. You don't have to be restrictive. How many people are on paleo, autoimmune paleo, low FODMAP, keto, you know, these diets are temporary. These diets are not for life. And if you are sustaining yourself only because of this diet, then you really need to work with somebody who will tell you, okay, let's clinically look at it. Let's see why you have to be on this diet and why other things don't work. Okay, so with the EBV itself, you don't have to be that restricted. And so I actually teach about SIBO, other co-infections, and sometimes people get so petrified and so scared, they start limiting and restricting, and it's so stressful that it's actually backfiring, and you become more deficient, and that's not serving a higher good. So we work with these issues, but the bottom line for EBV is, this is very, very simple. Watch this. EBV creates massive amounts of oxidation and free radical damage, okay? Bad for you. I don't know what this is, sorry. And so we have the ability to combat oxidation and free radicals with what? That's the good news. With antioxidants. What are antioxidants? Herbs, spices, vegetables, fruits, you know, they're loaded with antioxidants. So we want to be also strategic and use the high antioxidant foods. The same goes for nutrients that are antioxidants that we take in supplements. So it becomes really, really simple. If you look at Dr. Flavin's protocol, it's available online. You can look at what things to use. They're very high antioxidants, high doses. And so that's what we do. Isn't that wonderful? This is just brilliant. So simple and delicious at the same time. So I'm going to give you some top favorites of mine in terms of foods, what I teach everyone. So here we go. You're probably not surprised, and I'm going to say berries, and especially blueberries, and especially white blueberries. We're lucky now in places like Trader Joe, you can get organic frozen wild blueberries. You may get them online frozen as well from farms directly. Well, the picture here is of me when I was a few years old. And if you see those little dots behind me, these are actually white blueberries. Unfortunately, it's an old picture, black and white. And I'm holding a little cup where blueberries are. And if I smiled in the picture, I would probably have purple teeth from blueberries. This is somewhere in north of Poland, me and my family foraging for wild blueberries. This is very common in Europe. And in America, I know people don't have the experience with real wild blueberries straight from the bushes. It's unbelievable. But it is such highly healing antioxidants. Anything purple in color is very healing. So any berries are great, but this is in particular very healing. My second top EBV food, very surprising to most, unless you read my book. This is a picture from my kitchen. I buy parsley, basil, cilantro, green onion, dill, whatever they have in the store. I buy them all together. You come home, you wash them, tap them dry with the paper towel, chop each one like I did on the cutting board, right there and there. Put them in a glass container so you can see through. Put them in the fridge. Keep them there. When you open the fridge, you'll see them. And then use big handful each time. Throw it in the salad. Throw it on top of the soup when you're serving it. Throw it into whatever you cooked. Sprinkle it. Each one has a very different makeup. Anything green has chlorophyll. It's very tonifying for the cells. They have so many applications, and they're easy to get. Sometimes, you know, watercress, you may not get access to. Kale, you may not get access to. The big greens, like colored greens, maybe you can't buy it every day. But these, look for organic, very important. Get what you can. You'll be amazed how much more of these you'll use. I just love these. You don't have to even cook them. Anybody love any of this? Can you do that? Can you try that tomorrow? Try that tomorrow. Yes, wonderful. I have a yes. Okay, so now I'm going to give you one example. There's so many things that I teach about. One example that will give you like this huge aha. We have complex research, right? So we have complex research. Here is a complex research item, NF-kappa B, okay? So let me simplify it for you and give you a very straightforward solution that is delicious and easy. So we have this protein, NF-kappa B. You can see it in color. Nuclear factor kappa. It lives in your cells, part of your cells, especially B cells. Unfortunately, your B cells are the cells that are infected. So it means that EBV lives in them. Unfortunately, they immortalized. So they completely lost their functions. So NF-kappa B is there. It does all kinds of things, your transcription of DNA, very important. It creates this inflammatory cytokine, which is not good, and it is needed for cell survival. So a little bit is good, we need that. But unfortunately, our diet in the States, at least, is highly inflammatory and is high in NF-kappa B. And unfortunately, the virus loves NF-kappa B. It uses it to replicate it, literally hijacks it. So we have this big research, okay? So what do we do with this? There's so many foods, culinary herbs, spices, teas that you can have, diets, like whole foods diet. They decrease NF-kappa B. How simple is that? Let me give you my favorite two. There's so many more. On the left, anybody knows what that is? The yellow powder? What is that? Anybody can try and guess? Type it in. Anyone? Nobody know? Turmeric. Yes, thank you. It's turmeric. You can cook with it. You can take it in supplement. I teach the best supplement forms because it's hard to digest and absorb. It's anti-NF-kappa B, but it's also antiviral and it's also anti-EBV. This is like a superhero. Awesome. Some people cannot tolerate it. Most people thrive on it. And the second one, my favorite, that you may not know about, and it's a shame, is chrysanthemum tea. Also antiviral, also anti-EBV, but also curbs NF-kappa B. How simple is that? And I guarantee you, there's tons of more very simple foods, fruits, vegetables, spices that have similar function. Is that easy? Can you do that? You can go to an Asian store and buy that tea. You can go get it online, I'm sure. Yes, it is, Teresa. Thank you. It is easy. Now, flip side. How do you get your NF-kappa B inflamed? Well, here's a study. There was a study, 1 egg and sausage muffin, 2 hash browns. If you ate this meal, you would increase your NF-kappa B by 150% for 2 hours. So if you have a diet like that, you may track with yourself and see how much worse your EBV symptoms are after a meal like that. So diet is profound, isn't it? You probably are not eating this because you know already that food like that makes you feel so much worse. And that's the reason. All right, here's a book reviewer. It's all about strategy. So this is a person who was doing a lot of things already, had a good diet and so on and so forth, was very aware of things. However, she was not strategic because she didn't learn what I had learned. And so once she started to see the systems and how it all relates, she said, minor tweaks to my regimen have already yielded huge results, and I've only been at it for 3 weeks. So it just tells you, you just got to know and go for it. Now let's finish with the foods. I'm going to move forward to the second part of the grand plan. But there are certain foods with EBV that can really make it worse, specific foods. And there is some research for eggs, and I have quite a lot of evidence, like anecdotal evidence from stories. And you probably read in medical medium as well. Does anybody have problems with eggs right now? It's pretty common. And sometimes before EBV, people were okay. No problem with eggs. Look at that. You may want to check into it a little closer, because if you take it out for a few weeks and reintroduce it, you might see more exaggerated reaction, but that may be a food to take out. And there's a few more, of course, but that's kind of a big one for people. Okay, let's move to the second part of a big, grand, smart program, supplements. So some people say supplements don't work. I've tried them and this and that. So let me tell you about supplements. You have to know the dosages. You have to know the combinations. You have to know what to take together, what to take with food, without, the brands or the qualities, the forms of the particular supplement. It all makes a huge difference. So I'm very, very picky. So anybody has been like 100% successful figuring out the regimen for supplements? If you say yes, give me a yes, because it's a challenge for people. You know, and I've worked with supplements for a long time. Nope. Okay, I see nopes. This is my graduate training and almost 15 years learning, working with this. And I can tell you it's arts. And I can also tell you every person is slightly different, so you have to customize it. But what people don't understand, and here's what I see a lot in practitioners. They use a lot of herbs, herbology, to support your immune system, right? You probably are familiar, you work with an MD maybe, and there's a lot of like astrologers and this just for the immune system. But what people and doctors don't appreciate is that even your immune system, which is the key, needs building blocks. We are deficient in building blocks, basic nutrients, and that's research. If you're stressed, you're depleted even more because you're losing your nutrients in stress. So my philosophy is, and that's where I probably get better results than others maybe, is that I focus on nutrient-based superstars, multitaskers, and selenium on the right is an example because they have so much to offer. I'm going to talk about selenium a little bit. They just multitask, they provide nutrients, and they provide different functions, and they are anti-EBV. So how can I not invest in those? So when we are spending money on supplements, I'm very strategic, and we have a very, very strategic plan for that. So on the left, I have an herb, and on the right, I have a nutrient-based anti-EBV superstar. Now, licorice root tends to be one of my exceptions. If people tolerate it well, I love it. But most of the time, we just use herbs as adjuncts, as herbal teas, because it's very easy. So every time you drink, you do something antiviral, but the foundation will not be herbs. That's not going to take you all the way. Does it make sense to you? Maybe that's why you haven't just hit the sweet spot with your supplements. So let me give you my top EBV supplement, selenium. So you may want to take notes. 600 to 800 micrograms total per day. So you have to look at other supplements too to make sure it's not hiding somewhere. You can do it for 1-2 months and see how you do. You can do 400 micrograms easily long-term safely. Some people can do 600 or even 800 long-term safely. If you start feeling worse, tone it down. If you start feeling like your hair is falling off, that's a common side effect of toxicity. So you want to be careful with that. You want to work with somebody, maybe a clinician, to work with selenium longer. But let me tell you, it directly stalls EBV replication. It supports detoxification. It supports thyroid. You cannot have normal thyroid function without it. It builds glutathione, which is the most important antioxidant that your body is supposed to make. But when you're sick, you may not be making enough. And remember about the antioxidants, that's what fights the EBV. Then the problem is that it's hard to get in the diet because our soil is depleted of selenium, unfortunately. Now, some people will say, how about Brazil nuts, right? Oysters, Brazil nuts. Can't eat oysters every day, sorry, too contaminated. Yes, Diana said selenium was a huge key for me, thank you. I'm happy to hear that. But I can't rely on Brazil nuts. When you're so sick, when you're dealing with EBV, I don't play with it. You have to just have predictable dose. So you know what you're getting in a supplement of high reputation. So I have a wonderful regimen which is flexible and easy to tweak for a person. And so there's so many other things that I'd like to talk to you about. I'm going to try to be within 1 hour or maybe 1 hour, 15 minutes. But at least I can share with you this one talk. Another step, there's a huge factor in your EBV reactivation and perpetuation is your stress. People don't understand stress. You think it's just being stressed out, but it's any surgery, it's not sleeping, it's inflammation, it's crappy diet. All this is very stressful for your body. A lot of changes in your life. But the biggest one is tragedy, personal, grief. It gets complicated. Now, how many people today on this webinar remember a time when you were so stressed out, you were grieving, or you lost your job, something traumatic happened, and you had this terrible reactivation? Let me know if that's you, because that is, of all the research too, that's researched, of all the NESs here, of all the factors that reactivate EBV, I think stress is the biggest. You're moving and having surgery next week. This is when you want to calm down, breathe, because you want to protect your body from that reactivation. Stress caused a significant downturn in my health. Yes, exactly. I feel like it came on slowly and built up over the years. Yeah, it can come slowly too. But a lot of people remember when it just really tanked. Well, you don't know, but if you look at research, actually, astronauts can reactivate in space. So I talked to NASA scientists actually, and they told me that prophylactically they take antiviral medications because they know. So imagine, how can we compete with them, right? They are in their prime, and they can reactivate. One of the biggest aspects of stress and reactivation in EBV, it's not just the stress itself, it's the perfectionism. Remember Kate's story? We joke with our community, our EBV heroes, I call them. They are such perfectionists, and you cannot be, because it's the red flag for EBV. You have to let go. You're perfect. You don't need to prove anything. You're enough. If you can just live with that enoughness, it's gonna trickle into your body physically, emotionally, and there's gonna be less of that reactivation. I'm telling you, this is like a profile that is going to reactivate. Are you with me? Is it you? Can you honestly say, yep, I'm a perfectionist, guilty as charged? Yes, exactly. So this is be warned, work on that, breathe. This is not good for you. Another aspect is sleep. A lot of people with chronic EBV wake up around 3-4 a.m. It's a huge issue. It may be very simple to fix. We have all kinds of tools I teach people. I'm going to give you my little hint. For example, some people don't realize if you put a little starch in the dinner, or maybe as a snack before sleep, that may actually help the brain and prevent you from spiraling into reactivation or waking up. It's a long story, but this sometimes, may be a very simple solution if you want to try it. A healthy carb, just a little extra. Now, a huge concern for me is toxicity. There are studies. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. I don't want you to watch fireworks outside because you're going to inhale dioxins. Dioxins have been researched to reactivate EBV, and so there's burning forest, burning wood, wood burning fire. Stay away from that air that blows on you with the smoke. Also, I think diesel, some cars make dioxins, so just be aware and see if you feel worse in those circumstances. There's more research that is needed. We know about cigarette smoke, we don't know about dioxins. We know certain toxins definitely trickle reactivation. So I teach a lot about cleaning up. This is my filter, actually. It was, you see this gunk on my fingers? It's very greasy. This is what we breathe indoors, in the house. This is from my house. So I'm going to give you my top advice. Please get a water filter, whatever you can. This is a Berkey. Berkey is fabulous. It moves easily. You have to commit to filling it, but there's others. I discuss them in the book. I discuss them when I teach people, but get something because otherwise you'll be the filter. And if you are on well water, anybody on well water? You got it after reading the book. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Well water, beware. There were studies, actually, antibiotics in the water. We're drinking hormones. We're drinking antibiotics. So well water is not safe. So this is like, if you want to clean your environment, get a water filter, first step. If you want to clean your internal environment, you can't get water filter. You can't do anything. You can't change your house. Can't get air filter, get OPC3. That's my favorite. It has those purple constituents. It does have blueberries, wild blueberries in it. It does have resveratrol. It has antiviral qualities, anti-EBV. It's anti-inflammatory. So it's going to bring down NF-kappa B. Antioxidant, very high. One bottle of this is like 50 bottles of red wine. It's highly therapeutic. So I just love it. I've been taking it for years, and sometimes it just makes a huge difference for you. So that's one thing. If I had to give you one thing, that's what it is. All right, so we've discussed a lot. We've discussed the grand plan. So being smart about foods, being smart about supplements, being smart about letting go, the stress, the sleep, the toxic load. There's so many things, so many moving parts that I kind of put into a system. So now we talked about the second secret. I have one more secret to tell you, and that's very, very important. Here's a mom who actually, she was in her 30s, early 30s, but she had EBV for 14 years. She had acute mono that manifested in autoimmune hepatitis. And then there was a suspicion of white matter, so doctors were worried about MS and so on and so forth. And she had a little toddler. She was not making it. So we cleaned up, and so she again has tools. She knows how to not to reactivate. She felt fabulous. She just recovered. And then during the program, she even got pregnant, which was a dream, but they were not expecting it because it was harder first time. And she later told me that her second pregnancy and delivery were so much easier. And so this is what happens when we jump on it. So let's talk about the secret number 3. The secret number 3 is when people fail or they feel they fail. So let's say you work with somebody who has good results, but you stumble and it's like nothing is working. You try everything, like literally. There are certain decisions. The number 1, it may not be EBV, right? But that's a small chance. But there are certain things that will stall you, and you have to know about them, and I teach those too. So number 1 is co-infections. People transactivate. There is a transactivation between EBV and other bugs. So H. pylori can cause your reactivation with EBV. EBV that you reactivate may cause activation of H. pylori. It's not good. So a lot of people have co-infections, whether it's SIBO or H. pylori or parasites or autoimmune triggering bacteria, lots of that. So you have to know about that. Many people have mercury in the system. Maybe it's your teeth, but maybe it's your diet, maybe it's your water, maybe it's your air. Mercury is everywhere. Other heavy metals as well. And that's going to make it difficult because there's a suspicion that the virus has a high affinity for especially mercury. We have a little bit of evidence. And then toxic mold is huge. And has anyone here experienced having toxic mold and being susceptible to it in your household, in your work space? That will completely mess things up for the immune system. You will be on a protocol for EBV and you'll be stalling. That's not going to be easy. You have to know, you have to test, you have to figure it out and clean it up first. And then you can recover for EBV too. And then you may not realize that research is very consistent. We are deficient in a lot of basic nutrients, but if you look at research for viruses, your EBV will become more virulent, more strong, or more aggressive if your nutritional status goes down. And thanks God I'm a nutritionist, so we do a lot of work on foods, making it fun, making it delicious, so bumping it so the virus is not that strong. Here's another client. She's young, athletic, and she was very depressed because she couldn't dance, she couldn't move. And then out of the blue, she says, I went to spin class 5 days in a row this week, and she didn't tank afterwards, so we knew she was recovering. And then she says, I hadn't been able to do that in 2 years. She's doing great. She's living her life. Okay. How is the webinar so far? Do you feel empowered? Can you see a bigger picture of how the virus works and what's behind it and what's not virus? Yes, it's helpful. Wonderful. Well, I know you probably have questions, and I know you're probably putting questions in chat, so hold on. I'm going to I'm going to have a couple of minutes at the end to answer your questions. So hold up. Wonderful. If you missed any part of it, it will be recorded. Don't worry. Okay, so this is what we covered so far. We have to know what we're dealing with. We have to have a strategic, smart plan. And we have to be aware of those pitfalls and tackle them so we can move forward. So let's take a deep breath. Think about that. I threw a lot of information at you. So I just want to acknowledge you probably feel a little bit overwhelmed. Whew. It's a lot to follow. It's okay. I've been working on it for years. You're easily getting like a master degree level nutrition here. But I do know exactly how you feel. I know how intimidating it's been, how isolating it is. I know how your spices don't even see and understand. Sometimes it's hard for them. I know how, even if you are in a community, it's depressing because nobody is moving forward. Very few people actually heal, right? Because we're all clutching at straws. So no more of this. So are you ready to feel fantastic, to get that life back, to play with the kids, to go for a walk, exercise, travel, be on a plane? This is what I want for you. This is really what I want for you. So take a deep breath. And let's say, I'm going to show you how I do it. So I distilled everything, all of that knowledge, all these years, all the work with one-on-one clients, and put a lot of care into creating a system where I can actually leverage a group and help people at the same time. So welcome to the Recover Masterclass. This is what I teach. All the details are in it. It's a beautiful healing process. Let me tell you about that a little bit, because this has helped other people. This paves way for your recovery and for your healing. So let's see what I can offer you. Here's the experience you'll have. First of all, we have an amazing community. We call it EBV Heroes. We believe in healing. Even if there's pain, we move forward. We're always looking at the healing and the forward movement. It's a love fest. We have a private Facebook group. Each group gets their own Facebook, and then we move you to alumni later. So it's a love fest. There's so much support and love, and I'm very active there. I always see what's going on. I share videos sometimes live from my kitchen. I take pictures of foods. It's just wonderful. You would love it. And I am on the weekly calls live with questions, so you have access to me. It's the best. I've never experienced anything like it. You would love that experience. Plus, in that community, you stay for life if you want. We don't kick you out after the program. We are building that EBV hero community. You're one of them. You're one of the tribe. You have your tribe. And they totally speak your language. This is the best part. Like, they get you. They're just like you. You don't have to explain. We have a whole library. We use Kajabi. It's a beautiful platform. We have so many videos of how to cook and how to shop. We have some additional like remedies, traveling remedies for EBV and all kinds of things. I systemize things. There's lots of pearls. You know, I've been doing work clinically 101 for years, so I know psychology. I know what works. I know shortcuts, the pearls, systematizing things. So you're benefiting from all this, not just EBV. Here's a snapshot of one module. So this is the kitchen immersion weekend project. There's a video when I explain everything, and this is just some of the downloads below, not all of them. So there's different PDFs and different resources. And so every week we do something different. So here's just a snapshot of what you would experience. First, we have an extra like guiding week, the first week, when you can get on into the community, and it's welcoming, and you get some goal setting, and you set the system, so we don't throw you right away into content. We want to kind of build it up and get oriented. Then we spent 2 weeks in the kitchen, different aspects of it, all very strategic. It's all like nothing is incidental. I'm building blocks. We're building a house, foundations, house. And my goal is to make you invincible. That's my goal. Make you powerful, knowledgeable, invincible to the virus. So you're never afraid of it. You know what to do. But it has to start in the kitchen. It has to start with the foods. We have people that didn't like to cook, and now they just love it. The food is delicious. We have lots of choices. We work on the brain because it's so inflamed. There's so much you can do to decrease that inflammation and the brain fog, so you can start. Some things are very simple that you wouldn't believe it. We do a lot of kitchen stuff. And then we have, of course, a whole week when we go and kind of intense on the module is on the supplements. So I have so much support, explanations, and I mean, it's just amazing. And of course, creating your own protocol takes time. But once you take your time and figure it out with my help, then you really have something that can carry you for years to come, especially if you ever reactivate. Again, I'll teach you how to be more acute, and then you can tone down. So it's all in there for your support. There's nothing, no stone unturned. It's all there. This is one of the favorite modules. We do a lot about, we don't call it stress, we call it serenity. So we try to build serenity into our life. We have different toys, we have some fun games, we have wonderful support. It's really fun. Sleep, of course, we carved into it. We have to sleep. It's very important for EBV. You won't recover if you wake up. So I have a lot of strategies for that. This is one of the most empowering week, because I actually teach you your internal detox magic. What we're doing for EBV actually is also detoxifying the body. So you don't have to do two different things. You don't have to do more. We're not doing a cleanse, juicing, none of that. No. We're very, very gentle, and I'll teach you about it, so you'll forever know how to, maintain that cleanliness inside. And then we do a little pampering, your external environment, your home, your bathtub, your skin, little pampering, nice toolkit for you as well to move forward. And then we go a little deeper into the emotional aspect, spiritual aspect, into my favorite topic is how do we heal, not physically. We're not fixing, we're healing. That's what I love about this program. How do you heal from this, from the fear, from being chronically ill? How do you follow your heart? How do you reconnect with your dreams, with why you're on this planet? You know, how do you realize your potential? How do you tap into it again? How do you create more peace? This is so much fun. And then we graduate, and during that week, I give you resources and train you know what to anticipate. You have tons of checklists, and we check the goals again. We see how we're doing, and you realize what you need to do, what's already cleared. We celebrate together. We have a laugh fest again. We share success together. So this is 2 graduates. I'm going to tell you how they feel. They're graduating. Sue actually had severe hearing loss due to EBV. She was in hospital for that. She had a real risk of losing her hearing completely. So I actually had video script for her to help her understand the calls that we had live. So she says, EBV Masterclass saved my hearing, gave me my life back. It helped me get healthier and stronger. Thus, my hearing has improved dramatically. My neck is so smooth now. There's no swelling glands and no neck pain anymore. She could not move it initially. It was very painful. I now have more energy to do things I like gardening and yoga. I now have a love for cooking, which I used to dread. This awesome course has given me the skills to prevent EBV from reactivating. If it does, I know exactly what to do. The course is a lifesaver and worth every penny. Rachel, she's struggled with EBV for 14 years or so, and she is so young. So she's talking about the program. It has literally changed my life. I'm now 28. I've been on and off on the battle with EBV for over half of my life. When I found Dr. Kasia, I was in a place of absolute fear, which I suspect many of you are right now, because it's very common, that I was going to be sick and debilitated for the rest of my life. I now know that it is not true at all. Dr. Kasia has given me the tools to win the battle against EBV every single time. I feel empowered and hopeful for the first time in my life. I remember one post in Facebook when Rachel says, I actually woke up happy, and I don't remember last time it happened. It's been years. I feel happy. It's like physically and emotionally happy. So I totally understand if you feel overwhelmed, and maybe you think it's been too long, I've been too sick. It's okay. The program I created is for you. Exactly. I know how you feel. I know what you've been through. I work with these people. That's why I created this beautiful healing space and time so you can heal. Very excited about it. Love it. Love teaching it. Love the community. Love my EBV hero. They're like my babies. If you say you already have the book, it's wonderful. It can change your life, but it's almost 600 pages. And for most of us, as good as the book is, it's going to collect dust because it's hard to implement on your own without the community, without the ongoing support, without asking questions. You know, it's overwhelming. We have so much more. I can't show you cooking videos and shopping videos. I can't hear your question in the book, right? And the amazing thing is about the program is that you can do it again and again at a very highly discounted price. And if you tell me you don't have time, it's okay. I want you to think about when the good time would be, because unfortunately, EBV continues doing the damage internally in your cells, and you continue having a higher risk for autoimmunity, and knock on wood, not cancer. That's not as frequent. I don't want you to fear. I want you to know you have resources. You have a program. When you're ready, it's here. I'll be launching it probably 3-4 times a year. That's my capacity. I don't have it pre-recorded, so anybody can go anytime. We only started together and we graduated together. I feel it's very, very important. So just sit with it and think in your heart if this is actually a good time for you or not. Hold on a second. I think Jen is starting to put together your questions for us. Thank you, Jen. So I don't miss them for the end. So yes, I don't want to pressure anyone into a program if it's not for you, but I want you to sit a little bit, just sit with it a little bit and see if this is the right time and this is the right process, because it can change your life. And I spent so many years helping others. Why cannot I help you? You see here. So let's take a look closer at what you get with the program and the details. All my gifts. So we have 8 weeks of content material. Every week there is a new material. As I said, we start with an onboarding week, that's week 9, and graduation week, that would be week 10. So the whole total is 10 weeks, which is longer than traditional programs. Every week we have training video modules, so we have those videos for each module as well, when I explain everything about the module for you. And of course, we have every week we have the live calls. Now, these are recorded. If somebody misses, there's no problem. And if you miss your questions, we look at your questions. You can post them in the Facebook. So if we cannot get to the questions in that call, I create a document and I answer them and send them to everyone. So very important for me that you know you're being heard. And normally in a program, normally programs online are 8 weeks, and the coach will be with you only twice a month. But I don't think it's appropriate for EBV community. We need weekly, so I'm committed. Okay, this is the link to the program. Let me see here. You also have ongoing access to our EBV community in Facebook, our EBV Heroes. And as I said, after the program, normally you're kicked out. I never will kick out anyone except if somebody's really negative. But you stay in this community as long as you want. And in years from now, you can just come in and celebrate your life with us and reconnect with your bodies from your group. It's very important that we have a group first, so you bond together, you know each other. It's like a family. And of course, you have direct access to me with questions. As I said, it's very important to me. Now, I have special rates for re-enrolling in future. As an alumni, you can re-enroll and do it again and again and then again and again. So that would easily be $8,000 so far. But you know what I missed here is, I have more for you later. So remember about the 3 pitfalls, the co-infections and this and that. Well, I can't put them in the modules because we're doing like groundwork. We're building the foundations for that house that makes you invincible to the virus. But there are those issues that we have to address, and I have to teach you those. So I actually created bonuses, and these bonuses are available, just like you have access to the program for 1 full year. The program ends, you still can do it during that year. So you have much more time, and that's why you can tap into those bonuses. These are called bonuses intensives, and they are absolutely free. It's my gift. So the first one is heavy metals, and especially mercury, which is very important. The second one is the toxic modes. And that I have the tools. I'll tell you the research. I'll tell you what you have to do and how and what and how to figure it out. So you don't waste any time, and you only spend the money for things that you really need, because that's a mess. Co-infections, of course, that's a big bonus intensive, because we talk about H. pylori or SIBO or this or that, low FODMAP, but what do you do with it and why? SIBO recurs, people get frustrated. So I teach all that in that intensive. It's really cool. And then we are inundated with Wi-Fi, EMF. It's getting worse. It's getting dangerous. It is pretty dangerous for EBD. It can make a huge difference, and people don't realize that. So we go through all the nitty-gritty of what to do. What do you do? What do you do in the house, at work? What are tools? What can we do to minimize that? You're going to feel better. Just awareness, understanding it. That's a bonus intensive right there. And the biggest one, no matter how often I speak, how much I've written, how much I explained it, people are always confused about the labs. Lab interpretation. What really does it mean? Such a huge issue. And I really want you to be empowered. So I like to teach fishing. I don't give you a fish. So I'll teach you what you need to know. I want you to always look at your lab and understand what it means, and be empowered and not be fearful and not have to rely on somebody like a doctor who actually hasn't looked at the research, doesn't know how to interpret lab properly because they have old school thinking. They haven't looked at research about labs and what we know. But my students have also been asking me, well, what else should I have to test? What else, you know, there's complications in thyroid and pernicious anemia and this and H. pylori. What should I test? So the bonus intensive is also about certain important labs that your doctors most likely will never test that they should, and that can completely change where your direction of health can go. So this is probably like $500 value. So I'm very excited about sharing all this. So yeah, as you can see, there's so much support, there's so much love, there's so much structure, and there's so much time you have to run at your pace, and there's so much community support. So it's easily 10,000. I think it would be fair to ask 2,500, but I can't ask that because I know what you've been through. Anybody has spent $5,000, $10,000 on labs, doctors. I have people who travel to Mayo Clinic. That's expensive. To Hopkins, that's expensive. And you still haven't gotten the solutions. You're not thriving because you're here on this webinar. Medications, supplements, medications are misspelled, apologize. So we try to keep it affordable. I have a whole team working on this project. It's not just me. And so what can we offer that is within reason that help us actually maintain these platforms and pay my team? We try to keep it within $1,000. So right now the special is $10,097, and you have two options. You can pay the whole thing, or you can pay 3 monthly installments of $397. We have a 3-week refund policy. I do not want you to jump in like hot-headed. If you're not sure, you can find the space and find the time for yourself, like commit to yourself, show up for yourself and say, okay, this is my time. For the next 10 weeks, I'm going to say no to projects. I'm going to settle down. Even if I travel, I'm just going to be present. I'll do my homework. If you're not in that space, don't jump in, because you find soon enough that maybe it's not for you. You do have to be present. You want to be with us. And so we request, we have a 3-week policy. Within the 3 week, if you have questions about refund, connect with us directly. That's always the best. But we refund completely within 3 weeks. So you have 3 weeks to test it. But we require that you do the modules, that you provide us feedback that is required. There's some assessments that we will ask. And if you say, you know, it's really not working for us, of course we will refund you. I have more gifts for you. There is one aspect of the program that got me really excited, and I wasn't first familiar with it, but boy, when we did it once, I just loved it. The group loved it, and so we're gonna have it once a week on our calls. So the first 3 people that we're gonna have 10 hot seats during the Q&A calls once a week. And so the 3 first people that join our masterclass today will be on the hot seats. We have 10 hot seats max. And hot seat means that during that session, we're actually all present live, but you and I have a conversation for 15-20 minutes all about your case, your story, so I can dig a little deeper, give you more guidance, and sometimes like can help you with the direction of your health, your life, you know, years of trying different things, can really strategize things for you. And I remember when we did that, when we started doing this, everybody was sitting like on the edge and listening. Everybody was learning. It was fabulous. When I work one-on-one, I work in depth, but in a group setting, this gives me an opportunity to actually have that deeper connection and learn more about your story. And so this is about value of $200 easily. It's very special to me. Okay, that's not all. I want to give you something more. So here's the special commitment that I've made. I discussed it with my husband, who is part of this business, and we were very, very excited. We were looking for a way to support you. So I know the first group that ran it, they were really panicking towards the end of the 10-week. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Well, you have 1 year, right? But life happens, interruptions happen, and this is the kind of program that you can do again and again. That would be the idea. Come back when you need it again. Come back to your tribe. Maybe you can come back together with your body from your group, and you just, let's do next spring. Let's do it again. Let's jump in because we're a little rusty, or we got off wagon. We need some accountability. Let's just do it again. When you do it again and again, you get so much better and stronger. And it's not so, you know, it's much easier. You can breathe. You're not a newbie, you're experienced. So we are committing to always keeping the price at $197. Whenever you want to join us, you're going to have a special coupon as an alumni. Always reach out to me. I'll provide that for you. And you can always join us again. So again, this is the price, either a complete price of $1,097 or 3 monthly payments of $397. And the bit.ly EBV Masterclass is the link if you want to go there. So remember, we have 3 hot seats. And this just came in. This is my alumni. I highly recommend this masterclass. Just graduated from last one, and it has kickstarted my healing to high gear. The information is priceless and it will last a lifetime. If you're on the fence, do it. Best decision I made in the past 3 years I have been sick. Rebecca is an amazing EBV hero. I've seen what she's done, and she's been at it so long. So it's just wonderful feeling. This is why I'm doing it, to see that. So I think a question was when we start. 17th June is day 1 of the program. I forgot to mention. Sorry. Okay, get your spark back. I want to leave you, before I answer a question, I want to leave you with my intention. Take a look at this gorgeous picture. It's a public park somewhere in California, I understand. It's a dance class outside. And I don't know anything about these people. But I want to close with my intention for you all, whether you take this program or not, that for me, life is not about sickness and fixing things. It's about healing. It's about healing different parts of you, healing the physical part of you, but also about living fully alive. And so I can't wait to see how you can get that spark back, the sparkle, the spark in your life, so you can shine it, because we need it. And I couldn't help Marlena, but I can help you if you're ready. And the biggest reward for me is to watch the lives that have been hurt come and, you know, fly and take off. And this is all I want for you all. All right, and I think now it's time for the questions. So I think I'm gonna go. Jen has been very busy compiling questions for us, so I can run through more questions. Let's spend another 5-10 minutes, go over them. Okay. So let's see here, hold on a second. I think there's no way other than me sharing screen, so you can all see. Thoughts on Lyme? Is it an EBV trigger? Here's the question. Lyme, there's conflicting evidence. That I see that sometimes blood results positive for Lyme are in fact positive EBV that looks like Lyme. So there's some studies saying that may not be, it may not be Lyme. Sometimes it may actually be EBV. So I do not work with Lyme. I'm just not sure about that whole Lyme epidemic. You've mentioned Anthony Williams in your book. Do you agree with celery juice movement he's promoting? So celery juice, I've seen though do a lot of good for some people. It may be very healing for some. Some people cannot tolerate it. I have a lot of patients that come to me and use it already, and so I think it has a lot of value. And I think the research will catch up. I've seen some research on celery juice on some conditions, but nothing like what Anthony claims. And it's okay if you do better on it, keep it on. Do I recommend intermittent fasting? I actually do not recommend intermittent fasting. It's a very good question. And I'll teach you in the program why And I'll teach you in the program how I teach people to eat, how to set the meals, how to love your adrenals, how to reset that more gently than intermittent fasting. For people with EBV, intermittent fasting is a little too drastic. You don't need that. You already have problems with adrenals, hypoglycemia, reactive hypoglycemia, very common in the EBV community. And the stress makes it worse. So we layer things gently, we're very gentle, and we watch and we learn. So I have all that in one of the modules. It's a great questions, but no, if you do well on it, great. Maybe you're not sick enough. If it's safe for you, do it, but maybe do it with somebody who knows how to do it. And that would be my recommendation. Let me see, another question. Reverse osmosis. Reverse osmosis, again, I'll teach you all about reverse osmosis in the program. If you have it, you have to be careful. If you are debating, if you want to buy it, you want to learn more about it before you make a decision. I'll tell you personally, I would not buy reverse osmosis knowing what I know about it. But if you have it, make sure you have the drops, the mineral drops. It's very, very important, especially for EBV. The pH of water, it matters for EBV very much. Good question. We have a whole write-up on water filtration. Next question. Is it common for people with EBV not to be able to tolerate any tiny bit of supplements? No. You must be one of those people that over-metabolize supplements and medications probably as well. So that's just your makeup, and you have to work with it. Sometimes there are cases when people are less sensitive as we go because we do the healing of the gut. So that's another story. So actually it's a mixed response, but you would learn a lot during the program how to work with supplements and how to actually tune in and understand what the body's doing with them, like one step at a time. It's very important because you don't want to blast yourself with supposedly excellent supplements if they're actually hurting you because you're different. So that's a very, very good question, supplement question. And then I'd be struggling to get rid of microscopic parasites for some time and failing. I was tested twice and I still have them. I'm not willing to take antibiotics. Can you help? I'm not sure how I can help you here on the webinar with parasites. We do discuss different co-infections, including parasites, in one of the intensives. Parasites sometimes are part of your makeup. Do the parasites in your body actually cause damage? Are they just there? You have to look at the terrain, why they're there. So it's kind of like you can either mop the floor because the water is dripping from the sink, right? Treating parasites. Or you can turn off the faucet so the water stops dripping. So we're looking at the root causes. We're trying to turn off the faucet. So with the gut issues and bacteria and parasites, why is your gut so gullible? Why are you getting those pathogens in the first place? So that would be more of the bonus intensives when I go through these things and teach you. Let me see. We will have a replay. Let me look at one more time at the chat here. I don't know when the next course will be, when the next masterclass is. That's for Casey. I have to really work more with clinicians. So in the fall, we'll be running clinician group. I don't know if I can do one more group in the fall, if I can do both. The Nutrometrics is, yes, they can help clean out the cells. Definitely, they go deep because it's an isotonic delivery, Diana. What is success rate of the program? So far as I get responses and assess reassessments, it's people have generally improved in all the areas that we've gone through. And when they have any struggles, we have an availability of a discounted session when they can jump on one-on-one with me, and then I can go deeper and tell them why they're not responding and so on and so forth. So remember, there's also the bonus intensives when you do all the work and you feel like you're not 100% where you want to be. There's probably something behind it, like co-infections or Wi-Fi. Sometimes it's very easy to fix. So it's like a very synergistic process, but people do great. Only 3 spots are left for the hot seats. We do have spots available, Casey. If you are out of the country, it doesn't matter. The calls will be 2 p.m. every Wednesday Pacific time, so 5 p.m. 5 p.m. Eastern Standard. So it's late in the evening in Europe, but not too late. So hopefully if you're in Europe, for example, you can still join live calls, but they will be recorded. And remember, if there are questions that you don't want to miss, you can put them in Facebook and we will respond in writing. So it doesn't matter. We have a recording. We will have a recording of this. I want to thank you so much for attending. I want you to sit with this a little bit and see where your life is going, what you need. If you need that support, I'm here for you. We will open the Facebook group very soon. And then the modules start kicking in. Day 1 is 17th of June. You have a little bit of time. But if you want to get a hot seat, you want to act and not wait. I want to thank you. If there's any more question, let me just ask one question. Did the webinar provide support that you hoped I would answer? I hope my promise of the 3 secrets that was delivered and that was worth it for you. Yes, thank you. I'm glad. Fabulous. Thank you all. Thank you all, and good luck with everything. And I hope to see you in the masterclass. Bye.